welcome to another episode of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. And this is our 15th episode. And again, we're proudly sponsored tonight by Elm Grove Farm. So don't forget, if you're watching us, to like and subscribe, and feel free to comment on any episode. And you can be notified when you do join our page to any new episodes that are available. So for this episode, we want to welcome a harness racing die-hard fan. And we were talking off camera to this guy, and he provides a service of turning old videotapes and things into digital. So you can kind of relive the memories of the past. So if you're interested in getting your tapes digitized or whatever, kind of give Scotty a little plug here for his side hustle business. So we'll talk to him in just a moment. And the big news, though, he's got the first ever Hall of Fame Awards coming up this weekend on Saturday night at the Grove Lounge here in St. John. So we'll be talking to Scott about that as well. So welcome to the program, Scott. Glad you could stop by.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on there, Scott. Appreciate it. By the way, the video thing, I'll let people know if you have harness racing videos, you automatically get half off. You automatically get half. Yeah, that's true. So if you give me harness racing videos to get done, half off. But I'm using them on my YouTube page. That's the thing. That's why I give it half off. But I will. Yeah, if you ever need, especially if you come across an EPR from the 70s, I will pay you. I will give you money and do your tapes for you if you ever find 70s EPR, which is basically well, unless you're Bruce Maxwell, you can't find it anywhere. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, that's great. And I'm sure there's going to be some people listening that might be interested in taking you up on your business there.
Yeah,
so
just find me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, and I'm not hard to find. I usually post an ad every couple weeks. So, but just get a hold of me or someone that knows me, my mother or someone, and they'll reach out. I'm always willing to take any tapes, and I'll transfer them over, put them on a flash drive for you. I do pretty quick work too. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, listen, want to get right into it tonight, Scott. You've been around the St. John area and around Exhibition Park at a young age. Your dad, Terry Bernard, he was a trainer and driver at Exhibition Park for a number of years. So tell us about your early years around Exhibition Park Raceway.
It's kind of foggy, I'm not gonna lie. My first memory of EPR is actually, I think it's my first memory, is Provincial Cup '84. Vaguely. Now, I was a huge, my dad was my hero, and I was down to Barnes with him as a kid. Like, I talked to one guy who said, "I've seen you with your father and Ivan once," which I was my grandfather, who died when I was 2. So I was obviously at the track as a baby. But my first memories is mostly like Winner's Accolade, Angel's Shadow, like them guys going at it. Like my dad was there too, because I remember always like when he was racing, it was huge. Like he didn't race a whole lot by the time I can remember, because by the time I really started going, he was training. He had a few horses. He had like Matt's Jet. We're gonna talk about that later. A few horses he had. Yeah. But I'll tell you a funny story about when I remember him winning one time, and it's funny. I got about 200 programs lent to me one day by a guy. 200 EPR programs. I was going through them. And I found the race that he won with Jesmond's Creek. It was May of '85. And I remember watching it from the grandstand. You remember how big that grandstand was?
Oh, yeah.
If you're at the top, getting down is not the easiest thing. So I'm watching at the grandstand. He wins. I ran so fast from that grandstand down to that track to get my picture taken. I probably hopped over the fence. But I was addicted. Like, I'm telling you, like, for me as a little kid, it was my whole life. I was completely addicted to it. I remember watching like Ingham's old show on Cable 10. I remember being a little boy on Wednesday nights because I had school. I'd be calling that hotline like every hour.
Oh, okay.
To find out the results and stuff, right? And then they get up in the morning and call it. So, yeah, it was a big part of my life, definitely. For the first probably 10 years of my life, that's all I cared about was harness racing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were around the track. We used to, on race days, I don't know if you remember, we used to play like a coin game where you throw coins up against the wall and try and make enough money to split tickets with one of my friends or whatever. So I don't know if you got involved in that
possibly.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
I know I forgot what I was gonna say. I used to be a photo bomber. I used to photobomb people's pictures. Like, just I'd always try to get into winter pictures. All like, no matter if I knew them or not, I would
Yeah.
try to get into them. I was horrible for that, but yeah, some
Yeah.
good memories. Like, I remember like just exhibition week being just the most amazing experience. And I want to tell a real funny story, real quick. I won't take long. But
Yeah.
B. Nicholson, who was Bill Nicholson Sr.'s wife, who was probably the sweetest human being to ever walk Earth. I remember on the Saturday doubleheader, went to the races in the afternoon, and I went over to the exhibition for the next, 3 hours, and I was going to go back to the racetrack. I'm like 7
Yeah.
walking around by myself. But anyway, I run into B playing roulette at the exhibition, and
Yeah.
I'm becoming her good luck charm. So I go to leave.
Okay.
B's like, no, no. B like grabs my arm. You're not going anywhere. So I sat there with B for probably like 3 hours or 2 hours when she played roulette. And I remember she gave me like $20 when I left. But yeah, there was
Oh,
some care. And back then there was some awesome characters. Like B was just like the sweetest human being you'll ever meet, and Bill C, which we'll get into all them later. But that was just a
yeah.
funny story I remembered. So yeah.
Yeah, and we've got our co-host here as well, Caitlin Wesley, and I think she's got her next question up for you, Scotty.
Sure, let's go ahead.
Yeah. Can you tell us about some of the horses that your father had around the track?
Yeah, so for me it's a little like tricky because he was really prominent in the late 70s and I was like 1, but I learned a lot as I've done the EPR history stuff. So I know like Jan LaBelle was a huge horse he had, which was my mother's horse. And that horse went on to like breed some decent horses. There's one called Nora's Nightmare or Noah's Nightmare, but it was either Noah's or Nora's. And
I
I
think it
guess
was
that
Nora.
that was the perfect name for that horse. Kevin, I forget his last name. He said that horse was a complete nightmare. It would just terrorize you. My
That's
biggest
probably
one,
Kevin Mitchell, maybe.
yeah, Kevin Mitchell said, yeah. My
Yeah.
biggest one for him was Matt's Jet. Like
Oh, okay.
as I've gotten tapes from EPR and watched them, Matt's
Yeah.
Jet was like unbelievable horse that he had. Like I think my dad had him, Wally had him for a little bit. They
He
would like
did.
that.
Yeah.
That horse would bounce around at different stables like every couple of years. And my
Yeah.
dad had him from like 84 to I think like my dad left in June of 85. And this horse was unreal. Like he would never win. He'd always finish like second, but he would
Yeah.
always just fight to the end. But he had another one, Tiz a Cloud, that he had that actually
Oh,
he
okay. I remember her. Yeah.
Tiz a Cloud. He had Dasher's Doll. That horse was awful. I'm sorry if the owner's listening to this, but that horse was garbage. It would always finish last. Dasher's Doll, Potential Plus, but I think that Potential Plus, I think it was more of a test drive for him because I know
Yep.
Jody drove him a bit. But yeah, I mean, mostly for me was Matt's Jet. Like that was a really, and he had. I'll tell something real quick. They had a horse called Sky's Return in the early 80s. And forever I thought that horse was named after me. It wasn't. It was so they kind of like they killed my ego with that one. I thought forever that was my horse. Like they named it after me. Like no, it was named after Scotch Common. But yeah, that's basically some of his horses. And that like he wasn't really. I wouldn't say like he was big in the he had a good couple of years in the 70s. By the time the 80s hit, mostly focused more on training and then like grooming, and then he went to the States and did all that. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's funny, Matt's Jet. I actually jogged. I didn't jog him, but I sat on the side of the cart with Wally McGinnis a couple times that he jogged that horse, and he was a big, big horse. And like you say, he didn't win a lot of races, but he was. Oh yeah, he was a tough bugger. So
he would race like I didn't cut you off, but he would race like 89. I have a tape from 89. He's still racing. It's like God, this horse is crazy. But anyway, sorry, Scott, go ahead.
No, I remember him well. You got a big night, of course, coming up on April the 20th. We mentioned that off the top at the Grove Lounge here in St. John. You're going to be celebrating some of the golden ages of Exhibition Park Raceway. So just wanted to find out how many people you're expecting for Saturday, and what's the night going to kind of shape out to? What will the flow be like for Saturday night?
Well, basically, we're thinking like around 80. Well, I think 80. I think we have about 85 tickets sold, maybe a little bit less. Let's just say like 80. We're looking at 80 to 100 people.
That's good.
Basically, we're going to start out with like a little reception, like a sandwich kind of thing. It's not it's not peanut butter sandwiches, people. It's real sandwiches. It's good sandwiches. My mother and my aunt are both making them, and they're also getting some from Zesty and all that stuff. But anyway, so we do that from 6 until 7. And then at 7, we'll start the show. We're gonna have a really cool little video before we start that actually Wally
Okay.
Hennessy texted me and so you gotta check this video out. We're gonna show that, and I have my format all set up. So we'll do like, a couple of inductions, and then we'll do a door prize. We have like a ton of door prizes, which we'll talk about that if you want in a second.
Yeah.
Bunch of door prizes, 50-50. We'll be doing 50-50. Half of the 50-50 will go to Redhead Strays, which is a local charity.
Okay, Diane Fox's. Yeah. Yeah.
Help out some animals that need help because they can't, like these poor animals, right? But and so yeah, basically just like we'll do that. We're gonna put some old programs out on the table for everybody to look at. It's just kind of cool. I gotta find some lamps because it's kind of dark in there.
Yeah.
I don't think with the darkness we're gonna be able to read these programs. But yeah, we got like some cool things. It's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of people will be there reminiscing. Like I tell people, it's $15 a ticket. I mean, you get a free drink, get some food, hang out, and come down and see some old people you haven't seen in a long time. Because I get the list of people who are coming. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That person's coming. Like you've seen the list, right? So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah.
No, look forward to it. I think it's going to be a great time. It's something that's never been done. So kudos to you for putting it together. And why don't you give a quick shout out to where people can get tickets?
You can go to the Sulky Room with go see Courtney at the Sulky Room. You can e-transfer us. I'll say it kind of slow because I speak like a mile a minute. EPR 2024. Oh shoot, hold on a second. No, I'm saying this wrong. Give me a second. Let me go to my phone and look. Okay. Okay. EPR HOF, so Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
2024 at gmail.com. So EPR HOF 2024 at gmail.com. If you do send off money through e-transfer, put your name so we know who it is. And if you have a guest to go into the door prize, like we want to make sure you get your ballot for the door prize. And that's it. Yeah, you can come to me too. We had some at the Grove Lounge, but God bless Courtney McKay. She's been just hustling these things. I mean, she texts me like every day. Like I've sold 4, I've sold 5, I've sold 10, and I had to go down and give her some more tickets. So I went to the Grove Lounge. I'm like, well, give me the ones you have. I'll give them to Courtney. So she's been doing a good job. Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And part of me is going, I got to talk in front of these people for like 3 hours. So I'm like, this should be interesting. Lots of water. But yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, especially, $15. I mean, what do you get for that today? A night out, plus you get Zesty Lemon. And I can vouch for Zesty Lemon. It's one of the best places in St. John for sandwiches. So
yeah, it's not all zesty, by the way. Let people know. Some of it's zesty, some of it's my mother and my aunt. But trust me, my mother-in-law can cook, so you're not going to tell the difference regardless. Like they're both amazing cooks, so you're good. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And it was interesting when we did the pricing. I was like, I wanted to do 10, and I was like, no, I gotta go at least 15. Like 10's like just way too cheap, right? So, and you get a free drink too, right? You get a free drink.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And then later on, we'll talk about the door prizes, which are awesome. So yeah.
Perfect. All right, Caitlin, maybe you can catch up with Scotty for the next question.
Yep. You were very well known for being on the History of EPR, the Facebook page, and it's been a big hit throughout Facebook. What drives your passion to continue your work with that?
That's a good question. I'm passionate about EPR in general. Like I love old harness racing. Like I have like a fascination with the 70s and the 80s. So, and I mean, I'm trying to my passion is to get tapes, really, to find more tapes, to find more footage. And I love it. Like when Mike Ellsworth sent me 5 videos last night, and I was super pumped. Like I can't wait. And I didn't see them before. I love seeing stuff I hadn't seen. I like, I won't mention this person's name but I'll make an example.
Yeah.
A person that was in the business for a long time has unfortunately been sick lately. And I talked to one of their children, and they said, all this person talks about is EPR. I said, do they know about our YouTube page? He's like, they're like, no. I'm like, oh my God, like, give them the YouTube page. So I talked to the person like a week later. It's like, I swear to God, he hasn't slept yet. I'll say like he just keeps watching it. He can't stop watching it. And I love that. I love the fact, because for me as a kid, these guys are my idols. Like they were legit my idols. Like they were like, people look up to sports figures and movie stars. Like Marcel Barrio, Wally Hennessy, all these guys are my idols. So kind of giving back to, I kind of like giving back to them and showing like giving them the memories and stuff like that is really cool. And just like I love finding rare stuff. That's another thing that drives me. Is you ask what drives me into it.
Yeah.
Finding rare stuff is like an obsession. Like I become, it's not even healthy. When I get it in my brain to find something,
oh, I know, I've seen it.
it's just like it's not healthy. I'm like going crazy. I'm searching everywhere. I'm calling like global. I'm calling it. These people are like, leave us alone. And the worst thing anyone can do is tell me they have something. Don't ever do it. I will hunt you down like a detective if you tell me you have any tapes. Don't
Well,
ever.
I can attest to that because I went with you one time to Rexton, New Brunswick to pick up a few things at Blaine and Donna Hanning's place in Rexton. And great burgers, by the way, Donna.
Yeah, they were great.
And yeah, they sure were. But no, I've, since I've met you, Scotty, and got to know you a little bit better over these last few years, you just exude passion for harness racing, and you share a passion that myself and Caitlin has, and everybody in the industry. Once it gets in your blood, it's just something that it's just something that drives you to keep doing it each and every day.
It's cool because like I don't do it to get anything back. I never do it to get anything back. But I won't lie, I've gotten a nice couple little things here and there from people, like, but I don't do it for that reason. But it's not, I'm not gonna lie, it's nice. But it's a thing, like, when I say to people, it's a like if someone that works, I don't work in this business technically to get paid. But if you want to work, you gotta be, it's 24/7, man. It is. It's not like working at, like, no offense, like when I work at McDonald's or anything like that. But this business is 24/7. It's in your blood. If it's not in your blood, you don't last. Plain and simple.
No, absolutely. And we talked about your business of digitizing some of the old stuff to newer stuff. You still getting a lot of demand, Scott, for all around the Maritimes?
Oh yeah, it's basically what I want to. If I'm sitting here going, I need tapes. I need to get some tapes. I just put an ad out, and it's psychotic. I don't even know how there's still tapes out there. I swear I've done them all. But I'll put an ad. I put an ad at one Saturday night. It was just like Saturday, Sunday. It's just boom, message. Like it's just nonstop, right? It's it's a nice little thing. I like doing it. I take a pride in that too. Like I make sure I do a really good job with it. I make sure that I don't charge too much because I actually worked for a company. I won't name the company. Yeah, but they were just charged out. Like I heard them on the phone charging the people. I'm like, oh my God, you're crazy. And then I started giving my business cards out to customers, and then I don't know why, but they fired me for that for some reason. They actually let me go because I was getting my business cards. I was taking away their business, but whatever. No, but it's
leave it to you.
I like the fact I just like doing it. It's a nice thing to do myself, and you do get the benefit. Like when people come to you and they're like, "Oh my God, I haven't seen my father in 20 years." And I finally got to see it on video. It's a cool thing. Yeah, it's a really cool thing here.
Absolutely. And Caitlin's going to ask you about one of your favorite horses, and we were talking off camera. You even got a painting of him behind you. So go ahead, Courtney.
One of your favorite all-time horses is a former Gold Cup and Saucer winner, and he's a legend. Can you kind of tell the listeners about that horse and who he is and what kind of attracted you to him?
Okay, so the horse is Scotch Gaumont, which if you look, you can see in the back, I have a painting of Scotch Gaumont, and I'm not going to move my computer, but I actually have a cooler of Scotch Gaumont next to me, and I have a bunch of articles. I have like trophies of them, but anyway. So my grandfather actually bought Scotch Gaumont in December, I think it was December 1973. It was actually, I think my cousin was born that day. But anyway, that's a different story. He bought him for $30,000 in Nova Scotia. So Billy O'Donnell was actually part of breaking Scotch Gaumont in. And my grandfather got him, and it wasn't the smoothest transition, I don't think, when they first got him. He didn't do that well the first little bit, but he went over to PEI that year. He won the Gold Cup, which was a huge. That was my grandfather's all time, like, that. If I, when he was alive, I could ask that story, he'd tell me a million times. Like that was his greatest thing ever, right? But yeah, my grandfather bought him in 73. I was actually named after Scotch Gaumont. I was named after him. The story goes, my mother told Bill Nicholson Sr. On the you know what's funny, and I'm not trying to veer all over the place. If you look at this day in EPR history today, that day would have been the day my mother told Bill Sr., if you win, I'll name my son Scott. And
Oh,
Scott's
wow.
going won April 15th, 78, and I was born April 17th, 78. I was born 2 days later. So I could be
Okay.
wrong about that part, but I'm pretty sure. But oh my God, Scott's Gone was like a king. Like that horse was the king. Like that was everything to me.
Yeah.
My grandfather, as a little boy, I'd sit on his lap and he would just tell me stories. And I
Yeah.
thought Power Baron was like the devil. Like
I
looking
know.
back, like not the Power Baron was. Power Baron was a great horse, and Mike Dole's a great guy from what I've known. But my grandfather would just tell me every story. Now,
Yeah.
like, we were super close, and kind of like I'll get to that in a second. What I was going to say, but oh yeah, Scott's Gone was the greatest, like for me, and I finally got to see him actually, because as a kid, I was born in '78. He stopped racing in '81. So
Yeah.
I probably seen him race as a kid, but I was way too young to know any different. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I finally got to see him. Prince Archive sent me a video of the 1974 Alexander Memorial. That was when the Cardi won, and I seen Scott's Gone race. And then I got the 77 Alexander from Bruce Maxwell, and that's the one where Scott's Gone goes down in the first turn.
Yeah.
It was Ranger Bill goes down and takes everybody out with him. So, but yeah, no, definitely that horse was. And my grandfather, loved that horse. You know, he had owned a horse called Watch Fred before that, little trotter, who was pretty good. And then Scott's Gone, and then once Scott's Gone really kind of came into his own, my grandfather was like, oh my God, he was buying horses left and right. It was crazy.
Yeah.
He had a big sale in the 70s, right?
But he sure did. He sure did.
And Scott's Gone was, from what I've heard from people, like the older generation, like a tough horse. Like they put him in the 7-hole, and he would just fight right to the end, and he'd get up there. Like the first Alexander in '76 that he won, he beat Vental Rainbow. It took them like I think 6 or 7 minutes to get it back because it was so close, right?
Yeah.
And my mother said that my grandfather, they couldn't find him. He was up in the grandstand by himself.
Okay.
I think me and him had the same kind of nerves. But yeah, that's Scott's Gone. I'll leave it at that, because if we keep going, we'll never get out of here. So I'll just
that. Exactly. Now, the last few years here in St. John, of course, with Horse Racing New Brunswick taking over racing a few years ago, unfortunately, no longer any racing here in St. John, Scott, and the St. John X ended up pulling the lease from Horse Racing New Brunswick. What do you feel could have been done in that situation to keep it viable here in St. John?
This is going to be a little controversial here. I'll be good about it. Few things. Promotions, which Courtney did a real good job the last couple of years promoting it, getting people to come out. Because as you've seen, I was down there because there was a long gap of time that I wasn't involved at all. I remember going down exhibition week in like 06 or something. Not a person there. It was blank, empty. Courtney, me and Courtney and you helped. We all kind of went on board and said, you know what, let's promote it. And we got people there.
Yeah.
The problem was nobody bet any money. They were just there to watch. And I'll be honest, infighting was not good between both organizations. They couldn't get along with each other. It's no secret. I'm not blaming one or the other.
Oh, no.
But they couldn't get along. It was, and that's really what killed it in the end. They could not, they were all fighting amongst each other. But I think a lot of it was definitely promoting in the right way. I told people would always say to me, they still race down there. I didn't know they still race down there. I found out because I was outside. I was working at a job. I went outside one day. I was working at Parkway Mall. I looked across the street and see them racing. I'm like, they still race? But that was my brain saying that. They still race over there? Yeah. And that was, but I think, too, the big thing about EPR was that was a long time coming, that happening. That was going back to even like into the 90s with the dwindling of it, with the fact that, you don't need to come out to bet anymore. You can do it at home. You can bet on your phone. You can the attraction of harness racing, it faded away a lot because, I think people that went in the 70s, some of them didn't even know about harness racing. It's like the gamble. It's bet numbers, right? Now it's like you can bet pro lane, bet this and that. But I think a big part was promotions. I think, everyone kind of like a little bit too much infighting, but it's unfortunate. It was a massive deal. It was a massive deal for a long time. Like if you look at some of those 70s pictures I have on my Facebook like you look at that Licardi picture when he wins the Alexander in '74.
Yeah.
It's people.
Yeah.
That's all you just a sea of people. I remember being a little boy, like at Provincial Cup night, sea of people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And I talked to Todd Trites the other night, Caitlin and myself, and he had mentioned that the only reason that racing is still going in New Brunswick is just because of the passion of the people in New Brunswick that keep it going, and for a number of people that come from out of province to race, like the Renaissance and Truro and people like that came up to, make racing go in Woodstock. Like a lot of people, including myself, I wasn't sure it was even going to go last year. And, hats off to them for getting the 10 cards in, and they've got another 10 cards scheduled this year.
It's interesting too. I mean, if you look at this business, and I mean, we're in it. Like I'd say I'm basically in it. Outside of this business, people kind of look down sometimes. I made a comment about post with this one time about, some people look down on harness racing and think, oh, it's abusive, like they're shady. There's some of the nicest people in the world in harness racing. And they'll help each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're down and out, like, hey, we need some more drivers, like they'll come from PEI to go to Woodstock to help out, to keep it rolling. And I mean, and when people like, unfortunately, with some people pass away, they come out full force. Like, I mean, it's just some people that look at it. I've had people say, "Oh, that's a greasy sport." It's like, oh yeah, dude, like don't even start. Like, there's maybe one bad seat out of 100 people. You know what I mean? Like, do I need to talk about other things? I won't. So like that are a lot worse than harness racing. But I wanted to mention that because I love that everyone does come together and help out. Like even when I was down at EPR the last couple of years, I mean, I wasn't even asking for anything. I was just there to help. Doing 50-50, almost having like a freaking sweating to death running around that place like a maniac.
Yeah. And I know Caitlin can attest to, the passion that is around the barns and things like that. She has horses herself. Yeah. And, there's fractional ownership groups and that kind of thing involved now. So that helps as well.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Like even like the Cape Breton, the barn fire, like that brought everybody together. Like when I did the auction, and then we did like the GoFundMe page and the 50-50 on the harness. It was just like, it was all over the place. And it was just instantly, it brought everybody together. And like I said, we're an industry strong. Like we are a family that comes together when needed. Like we might not all say hi to each other at the barn, or we might not like each other on the track, but when there is need, we're always there for each other.
And we might fight in the barns sometimes. Like I've had arguments in the barns. Like I love Janice Hubbard. That me and Janice were yelling at each other one day in the barn area, and then like 20 minutes, I'm like, it's all good, we're fine. Like it just happens. You don't even worry about it. So it is. And I'll tell you, I don't mean to keep veering on, but when I came back, and I had been gone for so long, everyone was just like, oh man, like walking me right in there, right? So I love it. It's a great business. Everyone's awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Yeah. Going back to your all-time favorite horse. Yeah. You must remember battles with him and Power of, now forgive me if I say these names wrong.
That's fine. It's cool. You're not from St. John. We'll give you that. You're not from St. John. It's okay.
Power Baron. Am I
Power Baron,
right there?
Yeah. The evil empire, Power Baron, the evil empire. I'm just kidding. Keep going.
And Flying Caper.
Yeah, Marcel's all close. So basically, I don't really have memory of that because I was way too young. I was born in '78, but I have memory of like hearing.
Watched them on tapes.
Yeah, like seeing tapes. Like I seen the Alexander '74. I seen the Alexander '77. I'm trying to think what else. A couple like audio tapes. My thing as a kid, like as a little boy with my grandfather, because I'll tell you quickly, like how the racetrack went for me was like the same deal. Every Saturday afternoon I went and waited at the end of my driveway. My grandfather picked me up. We went to the track. And he would give me some quarters. I'd play pinball and watch the races. He'd be in the bar smoking like half pack of cigarettes and hanging out with his buddies and come up to me. Like he was the best. I love my I love my grandfather to death. And then like at night, a lot of times on Saturday night, I would go be there and we'd watch like Hockey Night in Canada, and I'd get him to tell me stories about Scotch Garman, and he would just tell all these stories about it. And like for me, it's like I would fantasize about it in my head as a kid. I like just couldn't.
Yeah.
And he'd tell me the stories of winning the Alexander. He always told me a story about like Scotch Garman going down in the 77. Power Baron to me as a kid was like the evil empire because they would always beat Scotch Garman, right? So I didn't like Power Baron. As I got older, I respect and obviously like him now. But no, like looking now, like as I've done this site, I've definitely learned a lot from like, Scotch Garman to me was like he won Horse of the Year 3 years in a row, like 76, 77, 78. That's crazy. Especially back then when there's like, I mean, the horse population's through the roof. They would race. Well, if you look at some of the old programs from the 70s, they would have 9 horse fields in each race with like 3 or 4 also eligibles.
Yeah.
You had 9 horses per race, 10 races with 3 or 4 also eligibles. So I mean, it was wild back then. But yeah, I had a friend once ask me if you can go back to the future where it ago. I said 1978. 100%. I go back to the Alexander Memorial 1978 that Scotch Garman won. I would do anything to see that in person or on video if anybody has it. Which I gotta find. I don't want to get into the story with Ross McDonald. He knows the story. Ross made a little boo boo in 1978. I'll tell it real quick and then we'll move on. I think it was the 78 one. My grandfather. My cat's sleeping. I was like, "What's that noise?" It's the person inside. My grandfather gave Ross a camcorder. Now, I'm not completely sure. I know the story. I don't know who gave Ross the camcorder. Someone in my family did. I think it was my grandfather to film the Alexander, from the fence. What did Ross do? Films his horse the whole time in the paddock. And runs out of film. And by the time the Alexander starts, there's no film left in the tape to film the race. And that is a true story because I told Ross still remembers that. I'm like, I can't believe you did this. I knew what I was doing. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like he films his horse for like, I think filmed his horse in the paddock for like half an hour. And by the time we got time to film the race, no film left. Yeah. I don't know if my grandfather found out, like probably definitely found out about it, but yeah, it's just a funny thing. But yeah, if anyone has what's that?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, of course, for those people listening that don't know, Gerald Ryan was Scott's grandfather who had horses for years with Bill Nicholson, with the Nicholson boys, junior and senior. And maybe tell us a little bit about that, Scott, how your grandfather first got involved in horse racing and then with the Nicholson family.
So I'm kind of thinking I'm not too like completely familiar how you got actually started. Now I'll get corrected on this if I'm wrong. I think for some reason someone said he used to race stock cars at the racetrack back in the 50s. But I'm not sure about that. But I know he had a horse named Watch Fred, I think around 72, 73, which is a decent little horse. I think he won a few big open paces and stuff. And then he basically got Scotch Garman. Bill was pretty much like his best friend. Like him and Bill were connected. They were real tight. Yeah. And Bill actually, my grandfather's house, the big house that most people remember, and Bill Sr. lived about, I think, 4 or 5 doors down. My grandfather actually sold Bill Sr. that house. That was the reason my grandfather said, and he built the big house. And I mean, yeah, my grandfather was just like a god. Like, I mean, there's no other way around it, man. Like for me as a kid, that was like him and my dad. Like, it was just like, always went to my grandfather for everything. I mean, he was the best. He was funny. He was always like the cool grandfather. I can't really get into some of the things that he would let me do because Bill Sr. was one of the nicest human beings you could ever meet in your life. I mean, just great guy, great smile. He had that little toothpick going all the time. His wife Bill Sr. was my godfather.
Yeah.
And my father absolutely adored Bill Sr. Like loved him.
Oh yeah.
Like loved him. My father got to start with Bill Sr. back in the 70s. Yeah. And Bill Sr. was just the sweetest man you could ever meet. Like no one could say a bad thing about Bill Sr. Just a great guy. Yeah. As a teenager, when I was a little bit of a pain in the ass, I think, to the family, I would swing over to Bill's and see him and talk to him. And Bill was like, he was the guy that, he would tell you what you're doing is wrong, but he wouldn't do it in a mean way. Like he would talk to you and like make you feel good about it, but tell you, don't smoke, it's stupid. Like, or like, don't do this, like you're being dumb. But he'd be so sweet about it. And And B was just adorable. Like his wife was one of the sweetest
Yeah.
people. If you went to their house and they'd feed you, like they would, yeah, they were great people.
Yeah.
Bill Jr. is a really good guy now. I talked to Bill a little bit now. He's still around. He'll be at the Hall of Fame. He's going to induct.
Cool.
We're inducted Scott Scommon. He'll get that plaque. Great driver. Bill's very underrated driver. Bill's very underrated driver, Junior. Same with Senior. Yeah, so that's kind of you get me on the rant about the Nicholson's my
Yeah. Okay, Caitlin, maybe we'll ask Scotty how he's selecting his winners and recognition people coming up.
Yeah. Do you have a certain criteria that you use to select your winners for your upcoming event?
So basically, how I did it was the idea of it just kind of popped in my head, and I thought, well, it'd be kind of cool if we had a Hall of Fame because EPR is so like well known. So what I did was this is how I did. I went literally through programs and just typed names into like type names, and then I put it into a system. And yeah, like you got to be there for a bit. Like there's certain guys, if you're there for 6 months, you're not going to be voted, but you had to be there for a while. I think I did at one point have a criteria. I think it was like maybe we had to race for 15 years.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know what it was. I had something because I was going to put the 2000s and I didn't. Basically, I just put it together. I sent out ballots, electronic ballots, and let everybody vote. And I said, vote for your top 3. So I started with like Pioneers, for example. That's automatic. I choose that myself, which consists of Aubrey Wood, Dave Nicholson, who was our starting gate driver, obviously Ingham Palmer because it's Ingham Palmer, and Doug Caldwell. Doug Caldwell was our GM. And then what I did was I made a list of 70s drivers. Let everybody vote. 70s horses. Everyone voted. 70s owners, everyone voted. 80s, 90s. So we just did it like that. It went kind of smoothly. We had some idiot go in there and vote for someone like 19, like 30 times the same person.
Oh yeah.
And it's like if you're gonna do it, like don't do it like 5 minutes after I make the ballot public.
Yeah.
Because I noticed it, and I think I know who did it. But that's a different story. But yeah, no, that's basically how we did it, and it's like 90% of it came back pretty like you kind of know, like when you go 70s horses, like you're kind of like Scott's gone Power Bear and Andy's son. I mean, some of that's a great horse in the 70s, but you know them 3 horses are pretty much gonna get voted in. If you see some horse that's like a lower class horse get like 90% of the vote, well, the person's owner is obviously in there hitting buttons all day long. So, but yeah, no, it was pretty painless. And we put it through, and then that's basically how it went.
And I know you're quite close with the former Exhibition Park driver and Hall of Famer Wally Hennessy. I know you talked to him quite a bit. What's he been up to lately?
Talked to Wally pretty flat, but I would say quite a bit, like usually once a month or so. But no, he's just down in the States. I think he's training. I don't think he's doing a whole lot of driving anymore. I know me and Wally are gonna link up here later this week. I'm gonna get his actual Hall of Fame video because he won't be there. So I'm gonna do like, come on, we're gonna get Wally to accept. But Wally's a great guy. He's it's funny when I first started doing the podcast, and I had the idea to get Wally because originally my first big guest was Marcel, and I was like pulling with it. Marcel did so, and Marcel's another guy I talked to a lot. But I remember going to get Wally and think, well, there's no way he's not going to do it, man. Like Wally's too big of a deal. He's not going to waste his time with this. And I remember one morning, I think I was like laying in bed. And I looked at my phone, and it was like Florida, and I'm like, who the hell's calling from Florida? And I answered the phone. It was Wally, and he starts talking. And we start talking, and and the next thing you know, it's like I said, well, Wally, save some for the podcast. Like my favorite one I ever did was him and his brothers. If anyone hasn't watched the podcast with the Hennessy brothers, like don't worry, you don't hear me a lot because I'm pretty much just like I'm just there. I just throw questions from time to time because Wally, Gordy, and Jody just go back and forth the whole time. It's great. But yeah, Wally's a really good guy. Loves the best thing I find about Wally and I find about Marcel and any of these guys that are so successful, they still remember where they came from and they still love harness racing. They still wanted to work here, and it's sincere. Like it's a great thing because in a lot of businesses, like people become very famous, and some people go like, you know what, the hell with them. I don't care about them anymore. But Wally and them, the complete opposite. They're very passionate about the industry still. Yeah,
and I think with this podcast, I know Kate and I always wanted to find out more about the guys that you see racing each Saturday. For example, the Mark Campbells and the Corey McPhersons and some of the drivers over David Dowling and those guys, and get to know them a little bit on a personal level, find out, where they came from and, where they'd like to go and what got them to where they are today. So I think it, provides kind of a deeper look, call it under the helmet kind of, and see what these guys, because like you say, drivers are some of the nicest guys you could ever talk to, and very, very sincere.
Oh yeah, well, I mean Marcel. God, Marcel's one of the nicest human beings walking earth. I always joked around like, you put a hole in the wall, Marcel would talk to the hole for like 3 hours because he's so friendly, right? Like, and it's so funny when I first got Marcel on, I didn't know him. I heard him, and I knew Marcel was like a god, but I couldn't believe how friendly he was, and just like. John Proud told me he met him over the island. He's like, my God, he's so friendly. I'm like, yeah, Marcel's a very, very nice person.
He is.
Can't be anyone nicer than Marcel. So.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
So, yeah.
Your mom has been promoting the event for you. That's awesome.
That's awesome, yeah. It's been really helpful, big time.
Yeah, exactly. Having someone in your back pocket to do that, that's wicked. Was she quite involved in the racing over the years, or did she kind of sit on the sidelines and let you guys kind of enjoy the harness racing?
She was pretty big into it, as I know, like from what I know. Like I know she was a big fan when I was before I was born, because I was like my grandfather. I mean, she would go to races as a kid. They all did. I mean, Russell Henderson says in his book, like he sneaks in my grandfather's car, and they're like, "Are you one of us?" Because my grandfather, they had like 8 kids. And Russell just hopped in the car and he's like, I guess you're one of mine. Come on. My mom was a big fan of harness racing. Met my father. They got married. So obviously she was really involved when they were married and stuff. And I think, as a kid, like when I was growing up, I mean, I don't think she really went a lot more. Like I went every Saturday, but I think she had other things she had to do. But she's still like, it's in our blood. Like it's the whole family. It's in our blood. Like we all still love it. And because again, as you say, once you get involved in it and you get attached to it, good luck getting away from it. Like I got away from it for years, and I came back and I was instantly hooked again. It was automatic, right? But yeah, she definitely she owned horses. She owned horses, but in the 70s, like Jane LaBelle was one of her big horses, which is a really good one. She owned Sky's Return, again, the horse I thought was named after me, but it wasn't. So who cares? But anyway, she owned a couple. Like actually, Gilles Barrio. One of Gilles' first, I think it was his first year driving. I think one of his first snake races ever was Sky Return down in Nova Scotia. Yeah, so no, she definitely is a fan. Again, it goes with all of us. Like it's in our blood. It's there. Once you get into it, good luck getting out of it because it ain't gonna happen.
So after this weekend's awards, I know you're gonna take some time and exhale and kind of probably be glad it's behind you because you've been so busy with it. What are your plans after that? You're just going to keep trying to get more tapes and keep doing that part of the business, or have you thought ahead to anything else that you'd like to do harness racing related?
I think honestly, like get through this one here because this is going to be an interesting one. Look forward to summer because I mean summer is a great time for harness racing. I mean everything comes back, right? Kind of hoping this year, like it's actually the 50th anniversary of Scotch Gomber winning the Gold Cup this year. And I know my aunt's trying to set something up for us to do head up to the island over the old home week for a couple days. So awesome. It's a real big again, that's a huge deal to us. I'm gonna do some my podcast is different than your guys. You guys do the more modern. I'm more into the history side of it. And I've had a few people, like I don't want to mention names, but I have one person we've been trying to link up for almost a year now. Do a podcast together, and eventually we will. I'll do some EPR Jeopardy. Everyone loves EPR Jeopardy. They have fun with that. Which is I've learned how to get a little better with that now because I have the answers in front of me, not just guessing. Because I used to guess them. It wasn't the best. But the problem, I'll tell you, like the hardest thing for me right now is that they took away my archives. Telegraph Journal archives is gone, and I mean, oh my god, man, it is just like trying to find, like, even when I get tapes and I'm trying to figure out what's what. I'm totally lost out of the archives. So if they're listening to this, I'm begging you, please bring it back. I don't care how much it costs. I need this because my research is like gone to I mean, oh my God, I got like, I don't even want to amount of papers on I got everything. I got post calls everywhere. I got programs, scrapbooks. I got literally a closet. I'm not joking, full of boxes.
I believe you.
Boxes and boxes of stuff. It's just funny how I started doing this as a little hobby, and now it's insane. And it looks like, but it's completely crazy in my room right now. But anyway, yeah, that's basically it. We'll just kind of wing it. Looking forward to this summer. I think we're gonna have a good summer of racing. Might head to Woodstock, and when it's not plus, I'll do it when it's like not plus 39. I remember one day we were gonna go up. We didn't go because we actually missed that storm.
Yes.
We were gonna go. And it was like plus 35 at like noon. And I'm like, I am not going into the in plus 35 weather. You're out of your mind crazy.
Yeah.
Heat's not my thing.
Okay. No, I know.
Yeah.
All right, Kate. All right, Kate. I'll send it over to you there to finish things up with question-wise for Scotty.
Yeah. So with the event happening, is this going to be like an every year thing that you're kind of shooting for, or is it just, one off? Like what's your plans with rolling it out from here on out?
Honestly, I'd like it to be an every year thing. The thing about this year is we're not going to do actual speeches because we have like 33 people. We're inducting 33 people. I think it's something like that. 33 to like whatever. As it goes forward, it's gonna be less. Like, right. We'll only do like next year. I might do like, so I think I'd love to do it every year. And I think this year, as it seems to be successful if it goes well. And the next couple of years, it might be where we'll induct 4 people. Yeah. But we let them do speeches. Yeah. We let them do their speeches and stuff like that. And I'd like to get a hold of like, I know like Steve Mahar's donating his plaque to a retirement for harnesses. I can't remember what it was he mentioned to me. I would love to get a hold of like even like maybe Fieldhouse, maybe put a spot put something up kind of thing, because they're all about the history and stuff. But yeah, yearly would be nice. It would be cool. We'll see how this goes this time. If this is a complete disaster, then no. But I don't think it's gonna be a disaster. I think it'll go. Yeah, unless everyone gets really drunk and like destroys the place. At that point, then I'll just be like, I had nothing to do with that. I'm gonna drop the mic and just walk away. Like, no, but they're all good. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun for anyone that's thinking about it. Like, come on out, because there's gonna be tons of people there. Yeah. And I'll let everybody know. And I don't mean to keep it too long, but this is a really important.
No, go ahead.
For anyone coming, if you have like, I know we're all getting a bit older. If you have any health issues and stuff, just kind of let us maybe like shoot me a message, let us know, just so we can make sure to get you in a certain spot. Like, for example, like Paul Brown's a great guy. Me and Paul are really good friends. And I'm making sure that Paul's on the aisle, because Paul has a bit of a hard time walking. So I don't have to make Paul walk through like 5 or 6 people. So if anyone has any kind of like little bit of health issues, feel free. Like, don't be embarrassed about it. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Reach out to me. We'll make sure that we can get you in a spot that it's comfortable for you to be able to move around and stuff.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck on Saturday, Scotty. I think it's something that's long overdue, and kudos to you for putting it together, and looking forward to hearing some of the new first nominees for the Exhibition Park Raceway Hall of Fame on Saturday.
And it'll be on YouTube too. Don't forget that. We're going to have it on YouTube. Knock on wood, if nothing happens on YouTube. It will start on YouTube. If something happens, I'll tell you, you'll see it the next day. You're going to see it regardless if you don't dare, but yes.
Perfect.
All right.
No, that's perfect, Scott. Thanks very much. And that'll wrap up another edition of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. And again, our 15th episode. Hard to believe. We've got Gold Cup and Saucer winner Jordan Stratton coming up for our next episode. Then we've got Western Canada's Brandon Campbell, of course, Maritime native. We'll have him up after that. So again, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Elm Grove Farm, for their sponsorship. And we're going to welcome a brand new sponsor for the next episode. And it's 12 Company Fire and Command. So looking forward to having them on board for the next few episodes. So again, thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And thanks to Scott Bernard for being our guest tonight, and for myself, Scott Waddell, and our co-host, Caitlin Wesley. This has been another edition of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate.